Chris, we're good? Cool.
Well, you are tuned in to the Indie Rock Hit Parade on XPN. I'm Eric Schumann. Hello to those of you who may be watching this, because we are in the World Cafe Performance Studio with recurring guest, and it's so great to have him not just in the studio, but behind a drum kit. Jon Wurster, welcome back.
Good to be here.
This is, I've lost count of how many times you've been on the show, but this is something special because as the drummer for so many beloved projects, you're currently on tour with the Mountain Goats, you've done stuff with Bob Mould. This is my chance to really see you, who is generally at the back of the stage,
right,
up close and personal. And we're going to go through some of your personal history with this instrument that is in front of you.
All right.
And so I figured the best place to start is the very beginning. How long have you been playing the drums?
I started just tapping on stuff when I was probably like 8 or 9 or so. I was just drawn to the drummers on TV, like American Bandstand or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, for a child, drums are almost like a cool car or something, you know. It's like it's
yeah.
You sit in it and you.
It's very shiny.
It's shiny and it makes a lot of noise. And so I think, like a lot of kids, I was just sort of drawn to it. And luckily, I had some aptitude for it. And I started taking drum lessons when I was 10, and you know, it's so unsatisfying because you think you're going to be playing a drum kit, and you get there, and
yeah, what do they start you out on?
A pad, and I still have my pad. I've
wow.
got my pad from when I was 10. I still practice on it, and so it's like thick rubber on a piece of wood, and you just sort of, you know, you just kind of you tap and you try to get there, you know, like the basics, the rudiments they call them, which are these patterns. I know like probably 2 of the 80 that there are, but and I lost interest after like 6 months. It was just like, I can't, this sucks. I'd rather go ice skating. But I still like doing it, and I was still just like bashing around on stuff. And for my 12th birthday, my parents got me a 4-piece drum kit, just like this size. Thank God, it's the worst instrument for a parent to have to contend with. And neighbors, oh my poor neighbors.
Oh my gosh.
So I just kind of like bashed around and took lessons from around maybe age 12 to 15, not constantly, but like at school I played a little snare drum, and I took private lessons. And when I was around probably 13, I realized that you could wear headphones that were pretty good, like headphones like this that kind of isolate your ears, and you can play drums along with a record, and you can actually hear the record still. So the first record I ever, I think it was the record that was just on the turntable when I figured it out. It was Squeezing Out Sparks, Graham Parker and the Rumor. So Local Girls was the first song I played, and it was just like that. And so the funny part of that is that I told that same story one, I don't know how many years ago this was. The Mountain Goats were doing a residency at the City Winery in New York, and at the sound check for the final show we were doing, they brought these kids in to ask us about what it was like being a musician and stuff. And I told the story to the kids about the first record I played along with was Graham Parker. Next morning, that tour's over. I'm flying to Wisconsin to start a tour with Bob Mould. And we connect at O'Hare in Chicago. I get off our plane to get to the next plane. First 2 people I see in the lounge when I get out, Graham Parker and Brinsley Swartz, who's the guitar player.
Yeah.
And I just ran up to them, and I just started talking to them, and they were like, "Who are you?"
You know, people are famously very agreeable when you run up to them in an airport and just start talking to them.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that is wild. And that kind of leads into the next thing. So that is a record that the first record that you remember drumming along to. Watching drummers on TV, as a kid, what other things, and if you want to demonstrate, what other things kind of caught your eye or caught your ear to maybe give you the idea to stick with those lessons every now and again?
Well, I think once once you figure out you can play something kind of snazzy, it really builds your confidence. And kind of the first snazzy thing I ever learned I just picked it off a record, is Steve Gadd's part in Paul Simon's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. And I'll see if I can play it.
That's a famously,
yes.
It's deceptively complicated.
Yes.
Or deceptively simple, so yeah.
So it's something like... So that's it. And once you kind of like, you say, oh, I can kind of do that, it gives you confidence to keep going. Whereas if you're just kind of sucking and it's not fun, then you give up.
As somebody who has, I taught myself to play guitar. I have good rhythm, but I have no coordination. So when it comes to, when I'm listening to things, to think like, oh, could I play drums along to this? It kind of begins and ends with maybe the first Velvet Underground record, which is not meant to be a... It's not meant to be a slight on Maureen Tucker, but it's just a very straightforward. I can picture myself doing this.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I had little to do but practice drums. So one of the things I practiced along with a lot was the first two songs on this Devo Live record that came out in like '81 or so, and it's a song called, I think it's called Freedom of Choice Theme Song, which is instrumental, and it goes into Whip It, so it's just 4 minutes of just non-stop hi-hat. And so I did that a lot, and then when it came time for the Mountain Goats to record this record we put out recently called Bleed Out, there's a song on it called Extraction Point. It's 5 minutes, and it's just that.
Oh my God.
But we were playing it, and I was like, 3/4 way through the master take, I was like, wow, I'm really good at this. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I played Whip It every day for 2 years. So
let's have a little listen to Extraction Point from the Mountain Goats' latest album.